Hello, everybody, and welcome to Called Up the Prospects podcast. I'm Chris Peters of FloHockey, joined as always by my trusty partner in crime, Cam Robinson of Elite Prospects. Cam, you're in the holiday spirit. If you're watching us on video, Cam is in the holiday spirit. We got a nice tree behind him. Cam, how the heck are you? Are you feeling the holiday spirit? Has it consumed you yet on these early stages of December?
Oh yeah, we're a big Christmas family in this house. My wife, she loves it, likes to get the tree up early. She actually set this whole thing up for me. I came upstairs, she's like, "I got you." She's rearranging tables, she's getting lights going for me. We got a whole checklist of holiday movies we have to get through. It gets harder every year. More kids, more activities, finding time to wedge them out. I keep losing my favorite one, getting cut every year, which we can maybe get into one of these days. Maybe we do like a called up challenge, the top 10 Christmas movies. But no, I'm feeling it. Feeling good. WJC right afterwards. It's the best time of year.
Yeah, it's so funny how, like, in my adult life as a kid, like, the excitement of Christmas and everything that was happening has morphed now in my adult life. Obviously, I'm excited to experience Christmas with my children, but I often have to leave on Christmas Day. This year, I can actually drive to the World Juniors, so I'm not going to do that this year. Right up top. Looking forward to that in Minneapolis and St. Paul. But like the way that I get excited about Christmas is kind of how I feel as a kid, is how I feel about the World Juniors every year. And getting out to St. Paul this year, really excited about it as well. So we are going to talk tons of World Juniors today, and really throughout the rest of this month up through the event, and certainly right after. It is the most important prospect event on the calendar. It is the most attention that it will get. Even in an Olympic year, I feel like there's tons of focus on the World Juniors. There's a lot that we're going to get to. We're going to talk about Team USA's roster, what Canada's got cooking. Their roster, some of you might get it. You know, you might listen to this podcast after the roster comes out. We're expecting to see that on Monday of the following week after we record this. So lots to talk about there. We're going to try to telegraph that a little bit, and then we'll also come back and, as it's for real next week. But yeah, I mean, Cam, there's just so much stuff going on. But before we get into the nitty gritty of this discussion, we have a quick message from us here at FloHockey.
Hockey hits harder on Flo. The AHL, the ECHL, the USHL, the O, the Q. So don't just watch hockey, live it. Get your annual Flo subscription now.
I mean, what a great Christmas gift for the hockey fan in your life. Like, you want to watch the OHL? You want to watch the USHL? You want to watch the little AHL? You want to watch the Q? I mean, let's go. Also, other big announcement today, Cam. FloHockey 24/7 just launched on Fubo TV and Amazon Prime Video. And so you can actually watch FloHockey on a free ad-supported channel on those platforms. So you're getting replays of key games over every week. You're getting some of our original programming. And now you're also going to have some live games too. So stay tuned for that. Go to your Amazon Prime or your Fubo app. Lots of cool stuff happening. We're pumped about it. So FloHockey 24/7. Check your Amazon Prime on their live TV app, and you will find it there, and lots of great hockey for you. I scan through those. I'm a big Antiques Roadshow guy on those free ad-supported channels. I'm like, oh yeah, it's if I need to calm down after a long day of work, little Antiques Roadshow on there. But
good for you.
After binging FloHockey 24/7, so.
But like that's better than doom scrolling on TikTok or something, right? Like that's gotta be healthier.
I actually switched that. I switched that recently. Yeah. Highly recommended. So watch a little Antiques Roadshow, but then also flip over to FloHockey 24/7. All right. So
weekend done.
Yeah, exactly. So planned. I've been talking too much at the start of this podcast, which is a regular occurrence. I want to turn it over to you. We saw Team USA announce their roster, 9 returnees, some surprises, other things like that. Before we get into the real specifics, just your general thoughts as you looked at the roster. What were the things that stood out? What are the things, maybe even deficits or, strengths? What are the things that kind of stood out to you when we saw that roster announced earlier this week?
You know what's interesting is that after the repeat, we're like, okay, now the wheels are going to come off a little bit and everything's going to slide back to reality here. I think it's going to be a good team. I think they're going to be a good team still, right? Like I've got a lot of time for James Hagan still, but like I think Trevor Connolly playing in the A, he's going to be dynamic. Obviously, Cole Eiserman's going to have a much larger role for this team. Cole Hudson could be the top defenseman at the tournament. He's definitely going to be creating a lot of offense. And then the fact that they brought Chase Reed, learning from Canada's mistake a year ago and not just bring in one offensive defender, bring in Chase Reed. Hopefully he makes that final roster too. Yeah, I imagine he will. But if they can get goaltending, I think this team's going to be able to score a lot of goals. And I think their blue line's going to be steady enough. EJ Emery back there. I wonder if Blake Fiddler ends up being the odd man out from this prelim roster that actually gets to go to Minnesota, but we'll see. I think they're going to be right in there in that medal hunt again. And like, dare I say, could it happen? A three-peat? It could happen. They're not going to be the favorites, but I'm not ready to count this team out yet. I think they're going to be. I think Will Horkoff. I didn't even bring in Mr. Goal per game in the NCAA. I think that guy's got himself a big tourney waiting for him too. So it's gonna be an interesting team.
Yeah, you know what? And let's talk a little bit more about Chase Reed. I know you guys at EP have been super high on him in your draft rankings, and certainly that's, I think that there's a lot of merit to the rising draft profile of Chase Reed, who I just saw at the CHL Prospects Challenge, USA Prospects Challenge, and to have a 6'2" guy with some of the offensive instincts that he has shown and the rapid rise that he's had, he kind of comes outside of the typical USA Hockey profile, right? He is a draft eligible now. He's of the birth year, but they could have had him on their World Under 18 championship team just a few months ago and decided not to. Blake Fiddler did make that team. Only two other players from that, or one other player from that team, Asher Barnett, made the camp roster, and it was the two outside guys in the birth year that made it. So it's a little outside of the USA Hockey profile to bring a CHL player that is draft eligible, especially after having left him off the under 18 World Championship roster last year. But it speaks to this need of, all right, we've got Cole Hudson at the top. Who's going to run that second power play unit? I think Reed has an inside track now to a roster spot because of that ability to be a guy on the power play. Because you could have Luke Osborne there. You could have Dakota Rayo Mullen there. The better offensive player right now is Chase Reed, right? I mean, that's where I see it. So Cam, I want to continue on the Chase Reed thing because you guys ranked him very highly in your last rankings. You had a piece on socials that people could see where you said, hey, this guy could actually be in the hunt here for number one. So I'd love for you to expound on that and just kind of explain some of the rationale on this rising profile of Chase Reed, at least as you guys see it.
Well, first of all, like let's just acknowledge his path here. Hey, in the last year and a half, getting cut from the USHL, couldn't crack the USHL last year, goes to the Null. Halfway through the season, jumps over to the Sioux in the OHL and instantly becomes a point-a-game player from the blue line, like above a point-a-game player in the OHL. Like that alone is insane. And then, like you said, left off the U18 roster, comes in this year, and he, as of last week anyways, was leading all CHL draft eligibles in defensive scoring with like 28 and 23 or whatever he went to that top prospects game with. So he's pacing the field for defensemen in points in the CHL too. Now he makes this roster here. You have to assume he is going to make this final cut, that he's going to be on this team because, like you said, they don't have another guy like with his skill set behind Cole Hudson. And then he also brings the size as well. So when you look at this kid, dynamic offensively, he has the size. He plays the right side. He has great vision. He has great creativity. He has dynamic skills in a class that, has a lot of really good blue liners, but not a ton of them have electric offensive stuff. Obviously, Zave does, and he doesn't. And I think it's like the next tier. Then you're looking at kind of Ryan Lynn, who's very, very good. And he's trying to push the boundaries of that offensive game, but it's not quite at the same level of those others two. Carson Carrolls, Daxon Rudolph, Keaton Verhoff. Those guys I wouldn't call them electric in any means. So if you're a team picking at the very top and you want like the pure offensive guy who also has size and some compete, like this year he's added a real shutdown element to his game, I feel like too, where last year he was cheating a little bit offensively and it was working. Now he's a complete player. And so, like I said, the size, the skating, the offense, the defense, it's like ticks a lot of boxes of a future number one there was some people in EP there that, they were making the argument, do we put him right at the top right now? I wasn't one of them. I was pushing back on that, and we ended up, cooler heads prevailed. But I think he could go to this tournament and really turn some heads.
Yeah, I think he could too. And I think that his ascent to being a top, a guy that you almost can't leave off at this point is
Mm-hmm.
the real surprising thing to me, as much as I've liked Chase Reed over the last year plus and seeing what he's brought to the table. Now, really interestingly, so the team that he was with in the USHL was the Waterloo Blackhawks. And so they ended up going to the Clark Cup finals that year. They had some veteran defensemen, and that sometimes players can get lost in the mix. It's always an interesting thing is that why doesn't it work here, but it works over there? That's the thing that I'm really, I couldn't give you a direct answer for, but I do think, as we've seen this year, and we've talked about this on other podcasts, the way the USHL and even the North American League, in terms of the way that those games are structured, is different from how they're structured in the OHL. I think that it's, and I can't really give you a great explanation of that. One person described it to me as like it's a little more chaotic in different ways in different leagues. Like, it's really tough to score in the USHL. In the North American League, it's maybe not as tough to score in the OHL, but at the same time, you're dealing with a different level of skill in some of these players. It's really fascinating overall to see just kind of how these guys, it doesn't work here, but it works there. And it can go both ways. It can go any which way. So I think for Chase Reed to have ascent to this status, and the fact that there are going to be more people talking about him as a top 5 potential guy, as a player that, it does feel like there is now a more open discussion about number one. There are plenty of NHL teams that are starting to move those pieces around. It's going to be fascinating to see. Now, I still think there's work to be done, but if Chase Reed has a great World Juniors, we're going to be talking a lot more about him. And you guys will be able to say, hey, we were on it. We were on it first. So we'll see. That's always a nice perk of what we do, is like when you see it before others do. So we'll see if you are proven correct. So Cam, I also wanted to talk about some of the players that did not make Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
There's all, and this is a year, I don't think there were egregious snubs, though people from the outside would say, well, what about JP Hurlburt? He's leading the CHL in scoring. He is dominating the WHL.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will say politics and whatever else. Well, I mean, like, here's the honest truth. A player like him left the NTDP mid-season. If they took him without taking anybody they didn't take any underagers from the NTDP this year. If they took the guy that left, they really wouldn't have a leg to stand on in terms of that. Now, I think JP maybe could have had, if he had 100 points right now, I still think that there's a chance they don't take him because of the whole optics situation. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about it on merit. Would you have had a spot for him on your team based on what we've seen here?
No, and I don't think that's like, it's not even discounting him in his production. Like you said, that he's dominating the dub. Like, it's like, I don't think he is dominating the dub. Like, he is racking up points, but when you watch him play out there, he's pointing up like crazy. But Nathan Beam there, he's doing a lot of the heavy lifting on that top line too in Kamloops. But JP's been great. He's been better than expected. But like, if you can point me in the direction of something that he would do at a greater rate in this tournament than a 19-year-old would that they invited, like, you'll catch me off guard, because I don't see anything that he would bring to the table that wouldn't be brought at a higher level from some of these other guys that are actually at camp. And so that's just how it is. He'll get an invite next year. He'll get an invite next year, and that'll be just fine, right? Like, it's just, he's just not at that level yet. And so, like you said, he could have 100 points right now. If he had 100 points, he'd probably be dominating pretty good. But it just, his skill set, I've said this for a while, is that his skill set and his translatability doesn't match the points to this point. It's
right.
Just,
I think that's such an important,
and that's why he's not a consensus top 10 pick at this point, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's an important distinction as well, is, and I say this every single year. when we talk about draft prospects, when we talk about different things, we're talking about the future. When we're talking about the World Juniors, we're talking about right now. Upside is irrelevant in this. It is what you
Mhm.
are doing now. And he's not knocking off Trevor Connolly. He's not knocking off Max Plan. He's probably not knocking off Teddy Stiga or Cole Iserman.
Nope.
Like, those are the players that you're competing with. You're not competing with the fourth line players. You're not competing with the 13th forward. It's like, if
Yeah.
we're taking you as a top 6 guy, and you are not unseating these players. And those
Mhm.
are all the guys I just listed are 19-year-olds too. So
Yep.
you're also talking about an underager, going. So that to me, like, that is really where Team USA is pretty, like, I think that this isn't just a political decision. It is a on merit decision on top of that. Two other players that I wanted to mention as not making the team. Number one is Cullen Potter, first round pick of the
Mhm.
Calgary Flames. I think a lot of people, maybe their eyebrows were raised. Mine were not. I think that, similar to USA has a center deficit. Like, that's like, I think that they're okay down the middle after James Higgins. They're not elite there. But I just don't know if Cullen Potter is going to bring enough at this point. There's another guy, he'll be there. I'm sure he'll be on the team next year, other
Yep.
things like that. But that was another player where I was just like, I don't think that they really made a mistake there. His game this year has been a bit inconsistent. The heavier games, sometimes he can get lost in. But, and before we go on there, I mean, did you have any objection to that? Did that catch you off guard at all?
No, I think he's been better in
I
recent
agree.
weeks, but like started out ice cold. And like, sure, they could have used his speed, right? But again, who are you taking off there? Are you taking him over Riker Lee? Like, no chance,
Right.
right? Like,
No.
it's just it just when you look at the skill set that he's going to bring, he has a history of producing U17, U18s. He's going to be there next year. He'll be eligible to play there next year as a 19-year-old. He's a January birth date, if I recall. And it's just one of those things is that you're building, like you said, you're building a team for right now. And it's not just, can we bring the fastest guys? Can we bring the best shooters? Like, you have to bring a complete team if you're going to want to contend and win a championship.
Yeah, and I think also too, with USA maybe there's going to be a skill gap between them and Sweden and Canada this year. I think, in terms of the overall top to bottom 1 through 25, there's going to be a bit of a gap there. How do you close that up? And I think it's like
Mhm.
bringing guys like AJ Spellacy, who's going to give you size, speed,
Big
physicality.
speed.
Guys
Mhm.
like Camille Bednarik, who give you some
Yep.
size down the middle. And that's really where I think that some of these decisions are made. The one other player I wanted to bring up, though, and the
Mhm.
one that I wasn't surprised, but I just wanted to note him because he has been red hot of late, and that is Will Zellers at the University of North Dakota. Now, Zellers is 19. This is his last shot at it. He was in the USHL last year. He's just about a point per game player, but I think he had 7 goals in the month of November. So he heated up, and it's almost like it happened a little too late for
Mhm.
things to go for him. I'm not necessarily surprised. He's not a big guy. He's not gonna, like, he's not a girthy, forward. But just in terms of that secondary scoring, some of the players that the USA is going to rely on, guys like Teddy Stiga, haven't necessarily produced at that high of a level this season, whereas Zellers did. But I'd have to imagine, Cam, that was another one that didn't necessarily surprise you to see him left off. I'm sure Bruins fans were surprised given how well he played in the USHL last season and then how good of a start he's had at North Dakota. But really, at the end, again, who do you take off?
Yeah, exactly right. Like, sure, he tore up the USHL last year as an 18-year-old, right? You probably
Right.
shouldn't be in that league as an 18-year-old if you're a really good player, right? So yes, he's been doing well at Nodak, especially of late. But like you said, he's not unseated. Even though Teddy hasn't been great this year, he's a returnee too, right? He meshes so well with Haggins, and they're like, we're not going to mess with that. And a lot of
Right.
these players played together at the program, and they have that familiarity where Zellers did not, right? So it's like he doesn't have a history with USA Hockey outside of the Holinka, if memory serves. So again, yeah, not surprising to me. Not the most intelligent player, not like super speedy, not big, not going to shut guys down. So just kind of like pretty good at offense. I think there's better players that they brought.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that, for him, it was another thing where didn't necessarily have the best showing at the summer showcase either. I mean, you think
Mhm.
about that. Last thing I'll bring up, and this is where USA has their moderate concerns, and it's goaltending. We knew that would be the case
Mhm.
going in. I mean, really, I think there's no doubt in my mind Nick Kempf is the number one
Yep.
goalie. He'll be the number one. He's going to be the guy that they lean on. Caleb Heil is on the roster as well. He's actually going to the World Junior A Challenge, which is next week. It is very rare that a player plays in both of those tournaments. Now, back in the day, the tournament was held at a different time.
Mhm.
But it's really rare that a player plays in that and then goes to the World Juniors. I think it's happened a couple of times previously, but certainly not often among goalies. And then the third goalie was a big mystery. Who is it going to be? There was talk that it could be Ryder Fedorov, who's had a tremendous season for the Ottawa 67s this year. There was talk that maybe it's Brady Noling after his Hlinka Gretzky and his CHL USA Prospects game. In the end, it's AJ Rayalts from the Penticton Vs, who is a Minnesota-born player playing in the WHL, and 6'2" goaltender, a 2006 born player. I wonder. So all of Team USA's goalies are 06s, so they will have no goalie with World Junior experience next year. So that
Interesting.
is the one reason why it's like maybe a Fedorov, maybe who they wouldn't have the
Mhm.
familiarity with. Maybe Noling, although his regular season hasn't been that good. They go with AJ Rayalts, and honestly, that was the one that was maybe the biggest surprise to me, was just to see a goalie kind of from outside of their purview. Now, will he play? Probably not. But I mean, at the same time, you need to have some insurance, and it's going to be AJ Rayalts and not a younger player there. So plenty of intrigue. So let's talk about now. You have belief in this team, and I do too. I think once you see the roster on paper and you see this actually has a pretty serviceable, like the decor is not the best they've ever had,
Yeah.
but it's good. It's good enough. You've got Logan Hensler, Adam Kleber, and Cole Hudson, all who have had experience. EJ Emery, who I thought some of the best
Should have
hockey
been
he
there.
played was at
Yeah.
his under 18 Worlds the year before with
Oh,
Cole Hudson. Just a tremendous
money.
pairing. Played
Yeah.
massive minutes for that team.
Yeah.
We talked about Chase Reed at length. How about Dakota Rayon Mullen, initially not
Mhm.
invited to USA's summer camp, gets there late, or gets the late invite, and he was great at that camp, and he's been really good this season. Undrafted player, son of Manon Rayon, who
Yep.
you may have heard of if you're a fan of hockey and know your history. But man, I'm telling you that I think that's a really impressive story. Luke Osborne, I think, is a lock, and then it's Rayon Mullen kind of competing with Asher Barnett,
Fiddler.
his own teammate, for a spot. Blake Fiddler, and I mean, I
Mhm.
think Rayon Mullen's got a real chance to make this team. What a story he's become.
Yeah, and a player who I thought would get selected last June too. I thought he would get
Me too.
a pick tossed his way. So a little surprised. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets one this year, right? Like especially as he transitions, if he has a good tournament here, he just needs to be steady, and that's what he is. He's a steady player, fairly vanilla, I might say, dare I say.
Yes.
But I've always been, I've been a fan of his game for a little while now. I think he's a good player, and I think that he's earned this spot on this prelim roster. And like I said, I have a feeling it's going to be Fiddler on the outside looking in, and that's just a gut feeling. But I do think that Dakota's going to make this squad.
Yeah, I mean, Blake's going to put himself in a position. I think Asher Barnett is going to put himself in a position. They'll take 8 defensemen with them, so there will
Mm-hmm.
be an extra, somebody that's not going to play as much. I think if I'm leaning that way, I'm looking at taking a guy like a Fiddler, who I think will be part of my team next year, or can be a
Yeah,
guy in
that's true.
spot duty. So
Yeah.
like that's the potential, the potential. I think the 25 player roster has been one of the best developments that they've had at the World Juniors. The fact that you can have extras. Does it suck to sit the whole time if you don't get in? Absolutely. But I mean, I think that having that roster flexibility that they did not have before is really important. But yeah, I mean, Team USA, I think there's more reason to get excited. Are they they do not have the depth and talent that they've had the last 2 years. They are facing
No.
an uphill climb.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're a medal team. They're a medal team, and anything less than a medal would be disappointing. And then I think, at this stage, USA Hockey has to say, we are a gold or bust nation. Like that's where it has to be in this field. But when we talk about gold or bust nations, it's always Canada, right? So Canada,
That's
we're going
right.
to talk about Canada now, Cam. Let's get to your home country. I love the fact that we have two guys on opposite sides of the border that can talk about these teams we can put our national pride in our pockets or not. And where
Yeah.
there's always a counterbalance. There's a counterbalance. But Team Canada, so as we record this on Thursdays. They will announce their roster on Monday of next week. They initially, now we've talked about it. Canada has said, hey, we're going to name our team. We're not going to have like a tryout camp. It sounds like that may be changing though, right, Cam?
No, they're not going to
Ish.
change it to a tryout camp. But yeah, it sounds like they are. And I tweeted this a few days ago. Is that I had heard that Hockey Canada had reached out to a couple of players and just said like you're on a short list, and I was like, huh, interesting, because they're not going to do a camp. And so then I, reached out to some agents and of some returning guys and some guys that are very, very, very likely to be on the team and been like, did you guys get? And they're like, no, we didn't get a phone call. We haven't heard anything. I was like, huh, okay. So just putting the puzzle pieces together there, it would make a lot of sense that they're alerting some players like, hey, you're on a short list as we wait to find out about NHL players. And there's a couple NHL players in particular here, Michael Misa and Zane Parekh, that have been injured. Parek's already been told like that. Then Craig Conroy came out and said, we're gonna make him available, but he still has to get better. He's still not playing. He's still not healthy yet. So for Team Canada, it's like maybe we bring an extra defenseman just in case Zane isn't good to go, or he comes back and he's immediately, like, hey, I'm not feeling it. Like my body's not ready to go. You have that guy at camp. Now Misa, he just got sent down for a conditioning stint with the Barracuda. Is he going to be made available? And if he is, it's like, well, like, let's make sure that he's 100% ready to go. Maybe we bring ourselves an extra forward to camp as well, too. But I from what I'm told, it's not going to suddenly become a tryout where all those guys will be there and it'll be like fight to the death to see who gets the final two roster spots. They're going to name their team and they might bring a couple of placeholders if some of those NHL guys aren't ready to skate right away and they have to kind of cover their bases.
Yeah, and honestly, like I think for Hockey Canada, like they're trying to learn lessons from past mistakes and different things, but I still think like you want to have that wiggle room because of the uncertainty that exists with the Canadian players and the guys that are on the NHL. We're going to talk about that in a minute here because we're starting to get, more kind of confirmation or at least the way teams are leaning in terms of who is going to go and who won't. I think that by having some of these extra guys and really, I think it's very important to be transparent and say, hey, like we like you, we think you have a spot here, but if these guys are available, you're the first man out, and I think
Totally.
that's all you can do is send those guys in and have, I think they should be brought, like to train and in the just in case. But the other thing is like, I the way I've heard it too is like a lot of these NHL teams in situations like the Zane Parekh situation, they don't want to have to make the decision on December 8th. They want to be able to make the decision on December 20th, and that might not work for Canada, but they're going to wait until that happens. And so I do think that that's a really intriguing thing. So, but let's talk about the why. So you already covered the Parekh element of this whole thing. Interesting news yesterday. Michael Misa loaned to the San Jose Barracuda in the AHL for a conditioning assignment. He has not played a game since November 1st in the NHL. He's played in 7 NHL games.
Yep.
Coming out of an injury, he's in and out of the lineup. Now he's going to play. It sounds like he's going to play this weekend on FloHockey. You can watch San Jose Barracuda. I believe they have their teddy bear toss night on Saturday, so that's always fun. Playing the Tucson Roadrunners for a pair. And Misa will be, at least he's expected to be in the lineup at this point. And so you've got that element. What this does, it gives the Sharks options, and it gives them time to kind of kick this can down the road. Now, a conditioning loan can last for 2 weeks, 14 total days. We just saw Carter Hart finish a conditioning assignment. They put him down there for the 2 weeks before his suspension was up, and then he was in the NHL. But this is a much different situation. This is, this is like, you're not just making a decision for this season. You're making a decision for Michael Misa's benefit for his development. Where do you think things stand? And do you think there's a chance we're going to see him on Canada at the World Juniors?
I'm starting, my spidey senses are starting to tingle a little bit here, Chris.
A little bit.
A little bit. And there's been some things in the background, some whispers, some like, some maybe it's wishful thinking, but I think that there is a chance that we're going to see Michael Misa at the World Juniors this year. And so, he was disappointed that he wasn't there last year. He's in the NHL now. He made the team, but the injury, he hasn't played his 9 games yet. All these things just coming into play, that it's like, would it be the worst thing in the world to come back from injury, play a couple games in the AHL, and then skip over to Minnesota for a couple weeks, get that experience, and we'll talk about that later in the show, the value in that experience. Pressure situation, big stage, opportunity to win, learn lessons like that. It is pretty invaluable. And for a kid of his caliber, this is it, right? He should have been there last year. He wasn't. This is by definitely the last chance. I think that there's a decent chance that we're going to see Misa here, and whether or not they leave it up to the player, I'm not sure. If they go to him and they say, "What do you want to do?" Or if they just take the decision right out of his hands and say like, "Hey, we think you should do this," and I'm sure if that was the case, he'd be like, "Okay, whatever you want me to do." But I do, if you asked me this a month ago or 2 months ago, which we did, and I didn't think it was likely. I'm not going to say I think it's likely at this point yet either, but I do think there's a chance. It'd be big too.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's now an increased chance, and I also think that it might be the right path. And then the question becomes, what is the long-term situation for Misa after that? And my assumption is he'd go back to the Sharks.
I think so too.
Stay there and everything else. But I mean, we've seen other. But now, like, the thing is too, is you're using this conditioning assignment now, which I think is allowing you to kind of see, okay, where is he at? What should we do? Is he ready to come back with us and just maintain, or can he go with Canada? And I agree with you. I think there's a lot of value in that. Sharks have another decision to make too, and that's Sam Dickinson. He is eligible. That one is a little less clear, I feel like, but at the same time, I still think there's a lot of reason, like that we just did see the Sharks give up a touchdown last night. Had a tough game. What do we think about Dickinson? Is that going to be a player that Team Canada can count on to have at this point? And is that one of the guys that maybe you got to bring some extras just to see?
I'd say the likelihood is less that we see Dickinson than Misa or another guy we're going to talk about here in a half second. He's played 20 odd games for them now. He's not playing a ton, he's playing 11, 14, maybe 16 minutes a night. He's only got maybe 1 or 2 points. They're not putting him in positions to point up, but he's getting his feet wet and he's playing against some pretty good NHL talent. And he's learning how to defend at that level. And I think that they're really valuing that. And they have a plan for Sam Dickinson. And it's not in and out of the lineup. It's, play a regular third pair minute and figure it out at this level. He's been to the World Juniors. He's won everything he can at the junior level. Canada would surely love him to be their top pair lefty. But if I'm betting right now, I'm betting that he stays in San Jose.
Yeah, I think I may be a little more believing that he's got a chance to come to the tournament because of, I think, some of the things that, like San Jose is doing a lot of great things, but they're still obviously far away from where they're going to be. And I think for him, it's just an opportunity. And I wonder how much the player is also saying like, hey, I last year left a super bad taste in my mouth. I want another crack at it. I think that can happen from time to time too. But the guy that you were talking about that we were going to talk about next is Harrison Brunick, and he is currently with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins in the AHL, doing the same, like on a conditioning loan because he was out of the lineup for so long with the Penguins. This seems like a no-brainer that 1, he'll be loaned, and 2, could play a pretty significant role for Canada in this tournament.
Yeah. At this point, I would be surprised if Brunick wasn't with Canada. I think that Pittsburgh still has to make a formal decision here. But the fact that they've kept him under the 9 games, he's done the conditioning stint while just being a healthy scratch for long enough. And he didn't get that opportunity to have that experience last year because of the wrist injury right before the tournament. I think he just checks so many boxes. And, the experience is so huge. But for Canada, if all of a sudden you're getting Parekh and you're getting Brunick, well, there's your top 4 on the right side. Boom, locked in. We've heard tons about Ben Danford that very, very likely that he's going to make the team. There's your third side RD. Where does that leave a guy like Keaton Verhoff? Hey, does that nix him out of this? Is that going to cost him a spot for sure? Or is he going to maybe be that 7th guy that they can be like, hey, we can play you on the, we'll find some minutes for you here and there. Great experience. It'd be, our number 1 next year. Or does that kind of nix him out too? Because I do think it's fairly safe to say at this point that they're going to have Parekh and Brunick, and that's going to be just massive for the blue line. But it is going to hinder potentially our ability to see Keaton Verhoff at this event.
Yeah, I mean, and if you do have Verhoff, is there a spot on your power play for him? If he's coming as their 7th D, because there was a time, I always use this example, Cale Makar being the 7th D in 2018 and being the playing almost exclusively on the power play. He should have played more. The team almost lost, by the way. But that was always an interesting dynamic for that one. But yeah, I think Verhoff is interesting, and I wanted to bring another draft eligible, a left shot. So the Dickinson situation kind of leaves the left side has really been at this point a bit of a point of maybe concern to a certain extent, just in terms of the lack of depth that there may be that exists there for Team Canada. But a name has emerged in kind of the, that I've heard about as a strong consideration for Canada. And that's Carson Karls from the WHL, and a draft eligible. Just saw him. I think it's a name to watch. I couldn't tell you definitively that he's going to be in the mix there, but that's one name from outside of the pool that we've been talking about that I think we need to be aware of. What about you?
Yeah, he's a really good player. He's a really good player. He's talented at kind of everything. And I think that the maturity in his game would fit well as a 17-year-old cracking this roster. My question is, though, do you take him over a kid like Jackson Smith on that left side?
I mean,
there's like, go ahead, give me the answer.
I think they would. I think
they might
Hockey
too.
Canada would. Yeah, I think Hockey Canada would. And really, Jackson's done a good, he's got a lot of points. But I've just talked to enough guys too that, are just kind of like,
I don't seem to love him.
I wouldn't, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
The thing is, so if you do manage to get Dickinson, that helps a lot, because then you push Kayshawn Aitchison down a little bit. Like, that's another guy that you could potentially have in a power play unit. Cameron Reed. And then your next guys you're looking at guys like Terrence Smith, Owen Protz, and Jackson Smith. And I think Karls is a kid that brings in this kind of that all around nature. There's a real maturity to the player as well. I was really impressed with him and his presence and his poise. And really, he got leaned on quite a bit in that CHL USA Prospects game, which, by the way, USA won. It really, really intriguing player. And the other guy that we're not mentioning among draft eligibles is Xavier Villeneuve. And I just think that as soon as the Parekh situation was, or there's some clarity there, I think it really took Xavier Villeneuve kind of almost out of the discussion completely. But that's another guy where it's like 7th power play specialist. They made the mistake last year of not bringing Parekh and having that second guy that could really help quarterback a second power play unit. Or probably their first last year for that matter. But I mean, they've like these NHL decisions that are looming are really important for Canada to get figured out at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, Zave would be like that super interesting high octane guy that you would place as like a 7 or 8D, and then you bring him in and use him just on that power play. But, the more we talk about it, Carson Carroll's, he's so reliable. And it's not like he's poor offensively. Like he's above a point a game for PG this year as a draft eligible D. But I just love the composure that he has. And like you, I've heard it's just with Jackson Smith, he's so toolsy. Like his skating is just magnificent, but he is prone to mistakes. And is that the type of player you want, kind of down your lineup where you're like, when they're playing, you need them to be clean. You need them to go out there, do their job, get off, and let the big dogs get back out there to eat. So I'm with you. I think it's a potential. And that'd be great. That'd be great for us. Give us all the draft eligibles. Let's go. Carroll's on the left side, Verhoff on the right side. We can get a couple kids on that blue line. We can file some scouting reports for here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's going to be some great. We're going to have some really good draft eligibles in this tournament. You think about the Swedes. You think about Latvia is going to have a bunch, like a bunch. There's a lot of really good players that'll be in this tournament, and I think we didn't mention it, but I mean, I think now when you look at Team Canada in terms of who's not going to be there, basically Seattle's telegraphing, and I saw a report in the local paper there that Berkeley Catton is more than likely not being loaned for the World Juniors, and you'd have to assume at this point Ben Kindle is a Pittsburgh Penguin, and that's that about him. And that's a guy that we were talking about earlier in the year as maybe not making this team. So
crazy,
pretty, yeah, it's wild how it works out. Going to be really interesting though, because I think Canada does have a lot of decisions to make down their lineup. I didn't have this on our rundown, but I just figured, talking about it a little bit, if you lose Catton, your center situation becomes a lot more tenuous because a lot of your best players are your wings. It does kind of open doors for certain players. I think like some of the guys that I think will definitely be there, Brady Martin, Cole Baudouin, those are players that I think are like locked in terms of centers. Then you've got I don't think Michael Hage is going to be a center on that team. I don't think, I think that there are a number of guys that are going to be moved to the wing. What do you do about Caleb Desnoyers coming back from injury? Is he going to be, one of your guys? Jet Luchenko, all those different things. Yeah, he'll be there for sure. But
he'll be there as the 4C, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing is some of these guys are going to be there, but there are decisions to be made. Like Jake O'Brien, is he safe? And he's leading the OHL. I would think
he's the 1C.
I would think, but I've heard that he's not. So
that would be outrageous. That would be outrageous, right? If Catton was there, if Misa was there, then you could be like, are we bringing JOB because we already have our top two? But it's you might not have either of them. You absolutely better. If Jake O'Brien is not on this team, their heads should roll. This kid is so gifted. He should be at the very least your number 2 center on this team. And then, but you're right, it does change the complexion without Berkeley Catton, and then heaven forbid, no Michael Misa. But let's just play the fun game here and say Misa's your 1C, Jake O'Brien's your 2C. I agree with you. I think Michael Hage plays the wing, but you still got Brady Martin, you still got Jet Luchenko, you've still got Braden Coots if you want to bring another pivot like that too. Yeah. You've got Baudouin, you've got lots of guys that can play the middle or play the wing. I think that there shouldn't be any issue down the middle, but they better not overthink this and leave O'Brien at home. I will be.
Yeah, he's just been one of those guys where I'm just he's got his detractors. He just has his detractors. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them.
He's so good.
But and how about this? Here's another guy who probably has not gotten enough love for how amazing his season has been. Marek Vanacker, 24 goals in the OHL this year. Yeah. Unbelievable. And he's and I mean, the Brantford Bulldogs are they're
a wagon.
They're a wagon. They're a wagon.
Yeah.
There's no way. They lost 2 games in regulation, which was stunning. I tell you. But yeah, it's wild. So,
can I throw one more name at you here too that we haven't even said?
Yeah,
that we haven't and I don't think it's gotten really any love in this conversation. Throughout all of kind of the discourse is TJ Ginla. Is people have forgotten about TJ Ginla because of the hip injury last year. I thought he could have been on that team last year, before he, got hauled out and had the season-ending surgery. He's been great again this year. I think this kid's on this team, and I think he's going to play a pretty significant role too. Yeah.
I think Tej is a lock. And I think that he's, it's just real. It's real interesting. I think the decisions that Canada has to make in their final roster decisions is those depth players, the guys that who are going to be the guys that kind of fit in to various roles for you. And who are the guys that you want to have. And like guys like Liam Greentree, is he going to make it? Like, those are the kinds of decisions. And we're talking about really good prospects and players. But again, I caution you when you say, why isn't that guy there? It's all about what you're doing now and where your game is at now. And you feel for guys like Sacha Boisvert, who had a great summer camp, but he's been hurt this year. He is coming back.
Caden Lindstrom.
Guys that we were like, Malcolm Spence has been a guy that Hockey Canada has loved. Is there a spot for him somewhere here? Justin Carbonneau has had, there's just,
Carbo,
it's crazy. Carbo I think is on, but you look and it's Porter and Gavin's got to get going. Like all these other things have to happen. How about Gavin McKenna? He's going to come into the World Juniors with like a month of no games. It's crazy. That is just a strange scheduling quirk. But just to kind of do a little bit of housekeeping, we have seen rosters for Slovakia, for Czechia. We are expecting Sweden's to come out this week. It'll probably come out the same day we drop this podcast, so we won't spend a lot of time on that. We will talk about it later, but I mean, that's a team that I think has every reason to believe that they should compete for gold in this tournament. But those are all the teams, we're going to talk a lot more. We're going to talk about Finland. We're going to talk about all these teams throughout the weeks leading up to the World Juniors. It's going to be wall-to-wall World Juniors. It's that time of year. That's, you're going to hear it when we go into our segments later and Beyond Belief and our You Have to Pick One. But before we get to that, Mr. Cam Robinson, you have a called up challenge for me. And I love being put on the spot. I used to have, I want to tell our listeners this, Cam, if I may. I used to have tremendous recall, like just tremendous recall for the most obscure things. It was hockey related or movie related. If you could give me one of those two things, I couldn't tell you how to do any math equation, but I could tell you different things like that. I hit 41, not even 40, but 41 this year. And it appears that it has affected my brain in this specific skill set, or I'm just not as good as I thought I was. And the called up challenge has exposed me for the fraud that I am. So
that might be the case.
I'm ready today. I'm ready to hurt. I'm ready to be hurt.
I like that. My parents, even when I was like a teenager, they used to ridicule me. They're like, you've used up all your brain space on obscure hockey stats and Seinfeld quotes. Like I owned those worlds. I owned them. And I hope I got 41 coming up in a couple of years here. I better not lose them. It's like, when those, how when you learn something new, it pushes something old out of your brain. Like that time I took a home winemaking course and forgot how to drive. It's a Simpsons quote, by the way. Homer, you were drunk. And how?
I saw it. I was like, I've heard this before. But see, there goes my recall. I used to have a great Simpsons recall.
Should have had that one.
I know.
Okay, but I've got you here. Well, I'm putting you to the test today. And I think you're going to be able to achieve this because I've massaged it a little bit too. Okay. I'm going to break it down for you right now. Chris has zero idea what this will be. Okay. He has
I have not seen no tips.
Nothing. No tips. So I am asking today if you can name the 5 youngest players to ever play for Canada at the World Juniors. And I'm talking, I went through the EP profiles and I'm checking birth date, month, day, time they were born, who was in the labor delivery room with them. Like I'm breaking it down. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to help you out here and we're going to call it modern times. Okay. So like, they were running tournaments back in the early 70s, but we're not going to look at those. Okay. We're going to look at 77 and beyond. And I got the top 5 here and they're all well-known players. Okay. There's no weirdo obscure guys in here that's really going to mess you up. These are brand name players. Give them to me.
All right. I'm going to give it a shot.
You're going to get it.
Yeah. So what is Wayne Gretzky still in this mix?
He is in this mix. He is number 8. He does not.
He's number 8 in terms of age.
He's number 8.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Matthew Schaefer. No, never mind.
No.
No, never
No.
mind. Never
Good
mind.
try.
No,
Yeah.
no. Shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
Connor Bedard.
Good start.
Connor
Bedard is number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
John Tavares.
No.
Not in there. Wow.
No.
Thought exceptional status. Come on. Connor McDavid.
Number 9 doesn't make the list.
What? He's not in the top 5?
It's just on his birthday.
played
He's a January baby. He's a January baby. It didn't help him out. Okay.
What
You gotta go later in the year. Later in the year.
Holy
But he was there at
smokes.
16. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That is brutal. Wow.
You're missing
Okay.
like the obvious youngest guy, and it was like news all over town when he made that team. You would have been right in your wheelhouse too.
News all over town.
So smooth.
So smooth with it.
On the blue line.
Hang on, give me a second here. All right, let me see.
Right.
I'm gonna go. I need to wipe that from my mind for a minute there.
Okay. Yeah.
So Macklin Celebrini has got to be in this mix. No, he's not either. At 16.
No.
So because he was 17.
He was 17.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
But
here's another hint for you. I'm going to help you out. Okay. I believe, without actually checking this, that they were all top 2 picks. One guy might have been 3rd though. But I got 1, 2, 3 first overall picks, a second overall pick, and then this guy might have been 3rd. I can't remember if he was 2nd or 3rd.
Wow. Okay. Geez, this is really upsetting to me.
I'm looking it up.
So yeah, there you go. Okay. News all over town. Well, I mean, like, what are we?
Well, I just mean like it was a big deal because he was the youngest guy to make the team, and it was within the last like 25 years. So it was like, whoa, this kid made the team. We don't see guys like that make the team. He went 3rd overall. Yeah. He was like the smoothest skater you've ever seen.
The smoothest skater that I've ever.
3rd overall, 2002.
See, like this is before. This is actually before my World Junior time. I was in high school in 2002. And
what were you doing on Boxing Day?
Remember what country I live in? We didn't even know the World Juniors existed until 2004.
That's insane. Yeah,
so that's the thing. Is
okay,
like,
we'll start picking bigger names then.
What's that?
Start picking bigger names then, because there's a couple of bangers on this list though. Yeah,
bigger names. The 5 youngest that have played for Canada. So we have Bedard is one of them.
You got one.
I've got one so far of the 5.
One. Yeah.
Yeah. This is tremendous stuff. Yeah, defenseman 2002, number 3 pick in 2002. Man, yeah, I'm blanking on.
I'm giving you this guy. I'm giving you this guy. Okay.
Yeah. Get it out of my brain.
Jay Bouwmeester. Jay Bouwmeester.
Yeah. See, I would.
You could have. I would just turned 16. Like he was.
That's right.
Fresh 16. Very young. Okay.
That's right. And I'm also keeping my.
Go smooth.
Yeah, I'm keeping my hands up so that. So all right, can I get like a year range here on some of these other guys?
Okay.
Just so
I'm gonna give you this. One guy's still playing. That's on this list. Okay. One guy is in a boardroom is an executive for a team, retired, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Okay. And one guy is in the Hall of Fame. I do believe was one of the most dominant players of his era. Dominant being the key word there.
Dominant?
Maybe I could even, dare I say, physically dominant in his era.
Physically dominant? Does that mean is Mario in there?
No. But you're thinking the right state anyways.
Think of the right state.
Yeah. Playing in that state.
Played in that state. Yeah. For the other team or from
Yeah. For the other team.
State?
Yeah.
Pronger?
No. Drafted first overall. Got dealt to this team. Maybe wore 88.
Oh man.
Come on, I gave you 88. Lindros. There you go.
Lindros.
Eric.
Yeah, that's so bad.
He's number 5.
Bad.
He's number 5. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lindros is number 5. And there's somebody in a boardroom right now.
Mm-hmm. And there's someone playing still.
Still in the mix.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sid.
Sid. Thank you.
Sid. Yeah, Sid. No,
Okay.
yeah, Sid. I don't know why I didn't say Sid. Like, I think I maybe thought that I said Sid, but I didn't. Okay, so we got Sid. We got Lindros. We got. Yeah, it's so funny. Everyone's
Connor
like,
Bedard.
so
You got
Connor
J-Bo.
Bedard,
And you need one
J-Bo,
more.
one more guy, and he's in a boardroom right now.
Yeah.
He's in a boardroom right now. It's not Stevie Y, is it?
No, younger. Retired fairly
Younger.
recently. I'd say he's about our age. Maybe a couple years older.
Oh, really? Oh, Rick
Yeah.
Nash?
No, but I like that pick. I like that pick.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
He's younger than me.
Yeah.
He's much younger. Rick Nash.
What
Yeah,
was he drafted?
okay.
01?
Okay.
He's not that young, much younger. No, he's not younger than you
No.
anyways. Yeah.
No, he isn't. Thank God. Yeah, man. Whew. This is gonna annoy me. I don't know. I give. I tap.
He's in the executive. He's helping Sid make decisions. He's telling him what to do on the ice now. You got to play make like I used to when I played for the Senators.
Gosh
Yeah, there
darn
you
it.
go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Spezza. That's a good one too.
Guy.
Yeah, so that is a really good question because honestly, I'll be candid with our audience. Like the World Juniors started existing to me in 2005. Like
That's
that is
wild.
the first time because it was on ESPN in the United States.
What a time to jump in on that too. Wasn't that the greatest Canadian team ever?
But that was the lockout, and that was the only hockey
Yes.
on. I was like, "What do you mean USA?" I was like, "Out," and it was. I remember the video package touting Ovechkin, touting Crosby. Like I was just like, "Holy smoke!" And it was on ESPN in the United States. It was TSN's broadcast in the US, and it was. I mean, like honestly, and then I ended up working for USA Hockey a couple of years later, and I worked with the junior team a little bit, and so like but I mean, like really the tournament's growth in this country didn't really, like, they won in 04. No one knew about it. No one knew. 05 started to get a little more traction. It was hosted in Grand Forks and Thief River Falls, and then bam, you have this. The John Carlson moment was really probably the touchstone moment of
what year was that? Was
and
it
then
Carlson?
It was Carlson, and then that led into, eventually it was the 2013 team with like Johnny Hockey and Seth Jones and John Gibson and all those guys winning it. And then really the watershed moment was the Troy Terry year when they made that free for everybody to watch on NHL.com, and everyone watched, like the whole country was watching Canada USA in that gold medal game. And so it's really, but like now it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. And when I started covering it, not working for USA Hockey, but covering it as a journalist in 2011, that's really like that. You were starting to see people were starting to get interested, and now here we are. So good question. A great question. Horrific performance by me once again. Just completely derails the show with my inability
the editors
to recall.
out on this one.
Guess what, everybody? Called Up Challenge was my idea. I was the one that wanted this.
The brainchild.
Oh, Cam,
we're going to cut that down to like 10 seconds, and you're just going to get them all right in order. Somehow we'll dub it over your lips. Be like,
I did
of course.
that for one. Yeah. I did one draft here where I had it. Like I just had it for whatever reason. But anyway. All right. We're going to move on to Beyond Belief now. And this is the part of the show where we each read each other a statement. One of us will decide whether it's beyond belief or if it's believable. And I'll start this thing off. And we talked about it a little bit, but let's drill down a little more. Canada will get 3 players from the NHL for the World Junior Championship.
I think it's believable. I think it's going
to happen.
Right? We're going to get Zane. We're going to get Brunick. Are we going to get Misa? Huh? Come on, boys. I saw somebody ask a question. It's like, hey, Mike Greer's an American. Is he really going to send these Canadians down? It's like, I don't think he's really
Mike
too concerned
Greer's
about
loyalty is to the San Jose Sharks in this situation.
Yes.
And
yes.
And I mean, like, it's really comes down to what is best for those players. So and if Canada does get 3 NHL players, that's a significant boost, especially on that blue line, Cam. Like if you change the dynamic of your blue line with and like Dickinson to me is like that key piece. If you get it, anything less than
over
a
the top.
dominant gold medal performance for Canada is like, it's just it's beyond them. Not winning would be beyond belief if they had, as many as 4 NHL guys on their roster. So,
Man. Should we have the
yeah.
conversation about whether Canada needs like a team white and team red again if they were allowed all their NHLers? Could you imagine if Celebrini and
Oh,
Schaefer were
man.
coming down too? Like what
Oh, man.
what kind of
It's
wizardry
just,
would that be?
yeah, I mean, like that's that's the thing is like, it's always nice to have that built in kind of like, hey, all our best players are in the NHL.
Yeah,
But,
that's a great
like
excuse when you
it's
don't
nice
win.
to have. Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
and I mean, like that's the thing is there have been very few instances where USA did not have somebody because they were in the NHL. It's happened. It
right. Jack
happens usually in
Hughes.
the second
Yeah,
year. But
yeah.
yeah, but like the fact that Schaefer will still be eligible for the next World Juniors and won't be available. It's just, and the fact that
Crazy.
Celebrini is eligible for this World
Still,
Juniors and he's one of the best players in the NHL right now. It's like
right?
that. I don't want to see that. Like I think this tournament
I
almost
do.
needs to be kind of hunkered down a little bit. You can't have that many guys.
It sounds like
It's
it'd
a
be
great.
just a great time
Oh,
for me
it'd be
personally as a
unbelievable.
Canadian. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
All
Okay,
right,
I got one for you.
you go ahead.
Beyond belief or believable here, USA will three-peat. Is it believable?
I think it's on the fringes of believability. I like you think that this is probably a better team on paper than what we thought,
Yeah.
but I think it's beyond belief, and it's really not because of Team USA. I think it's more because, so first of all, USA has never won gold on American soil in the World Junior Championship. Don't know
Jinxes
how
them.
that's happened, but that's just the way it's been. It's been here like, I don't know, like 5 times. So it hasn't been here a ton. But there's just a lot. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens. But I think in terms of the reason I say beyond belief is that in the years that USA has won, they have typically had a goalie that, could steal them
A
games
tray.
and sometimes would have to steal them games. And in the last couple of years, that wasn't necessarily the case, though they had Trey Augustine, who is going to go down as one of the greatest World Junior goalies in USA hockey history, the only one to have won 2 gold medals and started in 3 different World Juniors. And so
Crazy.
I think not having that is difficult. I don't want to put it all on the goaltenders because I think, but it's just like, do they have enough to outscore their issues if there are issues in terms of net? And it also has a lot to do with the fact that they're going to play in a bracket with Sweden, and Sweden, I think, has the inside track on being the number 1 team in that bracket. That means you're probably running into Canada as early as the semifinals, and that then gives you a little bit of a tougher road to the gold medal. If you played Canada in the gold medal game, I like your chances better than play semis. There's just something about it that changes the dynamic of the game. USA has really struggled with Canada in the semis, really had a lot of success in the gold medal game. I'm not sure. I think there may be 1 loss in their gold medal games against Canada. Like typically when USA gets in the gold medal game, they've won it. But that's the thing. So I'm going to say beyond belief for the 3-peat, but I think that this team probably deserved more credit than I was giving them before.
Yeah, I think it's believable because I think that they could win their side of the bracket and then not have to face Canada in the semifinals. I think that's like, I think they're going to have some jam. Like I know, and there's a lot of nice pieces on that Sweden team. I'm never writing off Sweden, but they've always had a difficult time getting over that hump too. And maybe they do win. Maybe they do because they're so great in round robin play, and then they kind of fall off in the medal rounds. But no, I think it's believable. I'm not putting my money on it, but I do think it's believable.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't be betting at this point on that. I wouldn't bet on the World Juniors because I cover it, but at the same time, I wouldn't, bet on it. But the thing I will say too is I think the pressure is on Sweden to win that game on New Year's Eve to get first place. They want to get first place, stay away from Canada as long as you can, and get into that gold medal game. Like that's what they're going to have to do. Like they have to basically approach it as every single game matters in this tournament, and make them all matter. Cause yes, they have really struggled to win the big one in this, but let's keep the Sweden train rolling. What's that?
Yeah. I said I'm so stoked for New Year's Eve games. Love those.
Me too. My family's going. My family's going to the game.
Oh.
Like they're actually finally going to get to go see a World Junior game. So my kids,
wow,
my wife are
what's
going
the
to be
drive?
there. So
How long does it take you to get
it's
there?
only like 4 hours for us. It's 4 hours
Oh,
to get to St. Paul from here.
you
So yeah,
basically walk.
it's
That's
not bad.
great.
Plus I got family up in Lakeville. Shout out Lakeville. Hometown of the greats like Jake Ottinger and others. But yeah, man. So but
Spark Besser from
I'm
there
really
too?
looking forward to this. I'm going to tell here's a player I'm going to tell my son to make sure he is watching during that game on New Year's Eve.
All right. Here we
And
go.
this is your beyond belief statement from me. Ivar Stenberg can vault into the consensus top spot with a big World Junior Championship. Just before we recorded this, by the way, Cam, he scored again for Frölunda. So just wanted to throw that. He just scored again. That game was on FloHockey, by the way. So Ivar Stenberg can vault into the consensus top spot with a big World Junior.
Do you hear that in the background? The growing chants from the Swedish fans? Ivar's better.
Whoa.
Ivar's better. I'm just remembering when the Rangers and Tampa played and there was chants of Igor's better on Vasilevsky, and I loved those. They stuck in my brain, and I could hear the Ivar's better coming this Christmas.
Yeah.
Can he vault himself with a massive performance? No. I'm gonna say not believable. As much as I love Ivar Stenberg, I just don't see how a team is going to. I mean, maybe publicly, in the public sphere, people might get behind it, but I don't think internally with teams that a winger is going to be able to unseat McKenna. So even if, maybe if he goes out and puts 20 points and Gav goes off for like 3, maybe then we could have that conversation. But other than like a historic performance, I don't think it's going to move the needle enough either way for either of those players to really knock McKenna down and to bring Ivar up.
Yeah, it's a tough one, Cam, because he is playing so well. Basically a point a game player in the SHL,
historic
at 18 years old. I think the other thing too is like he plays the game hard. Like he plays hard. It just doesn't. He's not a massive wing. You look at some of the other guys in this number one discussion. And you mentioned Gavin, and like the wing discussion is already starting to be like, hey, can we take a chance on this kind of light wing that's not really producing? That's going to be really, really interesting to see. I think Stenberg has a great chance to get into the discussion or create more questions. But when we answer this next question here, that's going to be where I see, that's when all of a sudden the Ivar discussion becomes like a little more prominent, is what happens if the next thing that we're going to talk about happens.
Gavin McKenna can quiet the noise completely with a big tournament. Can he shut this down? Can he do it just with 1-2 week stretch? Can he just end the discussion?
To this point, I think the damage has been done enough for me to say beyond belief. I think that now I will say it will deaden it, but it will not kill it. It will not kill it, and it will. And this is quiet the noise. It will quiet the noise, but publicly it will silence it. Internally among NHL teams, it will not change a lot, because I think that there's a belief here that if he dominates this tournament, and like I've talked to enough guys that said he better do that. Like that's like the minimum expectation.
Yeah.
It's minimum. It's the minimum expectation is that he is one of, if not the best players in this tournament to make that statement. Because when we talk about the threshold of picking number one, the risk mitigation that goes into that, Gavin has built up a fair amount of risk in terms of the way that people are viewing him and his game. And I think part of it is some of the stuff that we've talked about on this podcast before about, is the effort level on ice effort level always going to be there? Is he, and there are a lot of things that people are giving him grace on: physical strength, other things like that, adjusting to a new environment. People are trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. But if you go into this setting with a year of World Junior experience, with being the reigning CHL player of the year, with having played against, strong competition in college, you're going to have more time and space in this tournament, more than likely, against a lot of these teams. Get your cookies in these games, but in those hard games, be a factor.
You better show
That's
up.
what he has to do. It's not just about the points. It's be a factor in the games that matter.
How about the last time he played with Gardner McDougall on the bench?
Best,
How about that?
best,
Hey, can we see
best,
that, Gavin?
best Canadian. That's the one we need.
Right? That's the
That's the
GOAT
one we
performance.
need.
And like, is that, you know, we got Gardner pushing the 1s and 2s there. He's working. He's going to be working it. Guys will run through a wall just to hear him wax poetic for 90 minutes. And I'm that guy who will run through that wall to hear him. I don't know. I think that everybody I talk to, even people associated with players that are potentially in the mix to unseat him, even they're being like, he's better. He's better. He's so good. NHL teams I talked to, I had one team kind of give a little insight to their own internal data and just said, like, if McKenna was getting even average puck luck at 5-on-5, he'd lead the nation in points per game. And the discourse would be completely different. He's not getting any luck. He's not making his own luck, but he's also he's the system, the quality of teammates, but all that goes out the window at the World Juniors because he's going to be playing with the best players at the tournament. He should be one of the best players at the tournament. Like you said, it's more chaotic. There's more time and space. There's more players that you can expose at this level. He better light it up. And I, like you, think that he can quiet the noise. He can deaden the noise, but unfortunately, it's kind of taken on a life of its own already this year through a couple of months that it'll probably still be there unless he goes back to Penn and then just starts ripping off a point and a half a game. And then you're like, okay, he just needed a wake-up call. He just needed to be reinvigorated, and then that will all go away. But yeah, I agree with you that the expectation is you better be walking out of there with double-digit points.
Double-digit points, right? Gold medal, maybe a Directorate Award winner for best forward, maybe MVP. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing is he doesn't have to get all of that. He doesn't have to get all of that. But like I said, if he can be a factor in the biggest and toughest games, because like really, like you think about the discussion around James Higgins last year, it started to grow. It's like, hey, in those bigger, tighter checking games, he's not as much of a factor. Even though, like, I always thought that he got dogged for his compete and other things like a little too much. Yeah. And it was, but like it was just like, hey, he's not okay. He didn't have points in those games, but then he goes out, has a goal in the gold medal game. That actually did kind of deaden that a little bit because the big thought was he had the record-setting tournament at the under-18s, but then didn't score in the gold medal game. And now this that narrative kind of starts setting itself. So fascinating stuff. That was a fun beyond belief. I think we got some good answers out of it. And I think, you know why it was? Because Cam wrote it, everybody. Just letting you in on a little secret there. Cam with some good ones there. So Mr. Robinson doing some good co-hosting right there. Let me tell you that much. All right. We move on to our final segment, and this is You Have to Pick One, and this is World Junior related as well. And Cam, once again, submitted by our faithful co-host here, Cam Robinson. You have to choose one in this situation here. You got to keep the teen. Are you going to keep the teenager in the NHL? Or are you going to loan him to his respective national team for the World Junior experience? What are you doing if you are in the GM's chair, Mr. Cam Robinson?
Man, it's so circumstantial. It's so situational. A couple years ago, I think this was the first time I got a shout out on 32 Thoughts. My boy Jeff Merrick gave me, because I said, why not send Cole Sillinger back, even though he played like his full 18-year-old season in the NHL? And like a Macklin did, and then now he's 19, but he never got that experience. And Columbus sucked, and he wasn't doing well. I was like, why not just send him back? And for him, he's like, no, I'm an NHL player. I like my NHL paycheck. No, thank you. So it's really, I think it's just super situational. But I very much lean, and this might be my bias because I love this tournament so much, is that if they haven't had that experience, give it to them, because I do think like you make memories, like you build like a bond with that team, especially if you win, obviously forever bond with those players, but just like playing in that, on that big stage, pressure filled, especially if you're Canadian, right? Like the expectation is gold or bust, and you have to rise to the occasion for that. Like that is something that you put in your back pocket when you're in the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? You want that experience versus playing games in December and early January, maybe seeing 12 or 13 minutes a night in the dog days when you're slugging it out against another basement club. It's like, yeah, there's value of getting NHL experience, but I think that going to this tournament in most circumstances is the right call.
Yeah,
What
and
say you?
I tend to agree with you. And I think you're right. It is situational. I think the argument that NHL teams have made, and I think successfully at times, is, hey, we've got this player on a path right now.
Mm-hmm.
Why disrupt it from the path that we've gone down? But I think, like, in cases specific to like Michael Misa, who's coming off of an injury, or cases like Shane Wright, who was coming off of really struggling as a young player in the NHL, it was too much too soon for him. They sent him, and I think Shane Wright is a great example of this. They sent him back to the World Juniors. They let him play. He goes, he wins a gold medal with Canada. That, I think, was in a year that was tough for him,
The
rejuvenated
bright
him
spot.
in such a
Yeah.
way. Now, he did go back to the OHL, didn't play that well at the end of that season in junior hockey. So that little bit backfired. But the following year, he was able to go to the AHL. He goes, spent a whole year in the AHL, then goes to the NHL, and he's been good. I think for me, it comes down to what kind of role is the player going to have, and if it's like Zane Parekh, number one, number two defenseman on this team, Harrison Brunick, a number four defenseman at worst on this team, like those are the things, those are roles that you cannot give those players at the NHL level. Those are roles that, and you can't give them. Those are guys that can't go to the AHL. You look at the pace of play at the World Juniors probably most closely mimics the professional level. There's a lot more mistakes. There's a lot more unrefined play. You're going to have some of these dog games kind of at times, but what it does is it puts players in a leadership position. It puts players in a high level position. And as you said, that pressure, the pressure that's on Canada that exists, there have been some kids, I'm so impressed with their poise and how they handle it. And there's been plenty where they didn't handle it well,
Well,
but
for sure,
many
right?
more have.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Many
Like Jake
more.
Virtanen, right? Curtis Lazar. I
Yeah.
remember a couple
Well,
guys
yeah.
getting sent back where it's like it did not work. Like, did Virtanen even get a
Yeah, it
point?
didn't
Like, they
work.
basically
Like,
hung that loss on him. You're an NHLer, and
yeah.
this is what you're giving us.
Yeah, that's
So
hard.
they can
It's
wilt. Some
hard.
guys can wilt. Yeah.
Some guys can wilt, and some guys are going to rise to the occasion. And I think in this particular instance, and in a lot of the cases, we said, okay, well, Cat, you've kind of got him in a regular role. He's, at worst, your third line center. That's a great place for him to be. Keep him on that track. Ben Kindle, why disrupt a good thing? But, Brunick, let's get him more reps. Even Dickinson, I think he could benefit from more reps. Misa coming off of an injury. Why get him back into the NHL grind when we can give him this kind of offshoot and then accept him back after he's got a bit of a runway? There's always the risk of injury and other things. Kirby Dach got injured one year. It was a complete disaster. And really, that's kind of been the story of a lot of his years as they end in injury. But like, there are risks then. And I understand NHL teams do it, but I'm with you. I think like the benefits of, I've always been a proponent of patience and just saying, hey, like, let things stay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, I would be sending my guys back. And I remember there was a year Justin Falk just hit 1,000 games. Carolina did not send him back for his second World Juniors. What would have been his second World Juniors? I think they won that year. But yeah, that was one where, and I remember he was in the AHL at the time too, I'm pretty sure, and they still wouldn't loan him. And that was,
Yeah.
Was that? I forget if that was Ron Francis at the time or not, but it was like, oh man. But I just remember the USA guys being so upset. But congrats to Justin Falk on 1,000 NHL games. It was great to see that. Great guy. But anyway, Cam, man, the holiday spirit. You're making my spirits bright right now. But what are you guys doing over at Elite Prospects to keep the holiday train rolling here?
Oh, well, it's going to be WJC focused here coming up. We're going to be meeting the teams. There's going to be bold predictions. We'll do all the roster breakdowns. Everything's going to be, we got a couple of big announcements coming up next week. I'm not going to spoil it, but we got some stuff cooking that we'll be releasing and talking about here pretty soon as well. But yes, obviously this is the biggest time of year for EP. This is when we break, I think yearly we break our visitors to the site. Millions of people come, so it's great and we appreciate it, obviously, and we're hopefully going to give you the best coverage we can, and We'll be there. Hey, buddy, maybe even hanging out in
Yeah.
real life for one of these shows here too. Hey,
Yeah, we're definitely gonna be hanging out in real life, and I
we'll
think
be
that
hanging out.
I'm excited. Obviously, the U.S. hosting the World Juniors, the 50th anniversary. Did you guys know that it's the 50th anniversary of the World Junior Championship this year? And what a great thing it is. And so we'll have tons of coverage here on Flow. We've got a lot more coming up. Obviously, want to make sure that you guys get those subscriptions now. We've got a lot of like college holiday tournaments and other things like that. The Cactus Cup, which will feature a number of college teams playing in Palm Springs. That'll be on Flow. We just had the Friendship 4 on Flow. So a lot of things like that coming your way. Certainly the AHL, ECHL, Major Junior, and the OHL and the Q, the USHL, Junior A. Lots of stuff there. So much happening. We're also only a little over a month away from the Connor McDavid Top Prospects game in the OHL, which you'll be able to see on Flow as well. So just a ton of stuff coming. But man, it's all about the World Juniors in December, and we will have much more chat about the World Juniors next week when we return for yet another episode of Called Up the Prospects podcast. But that's going to do it for this week, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll be back next week with a lot of Canada analysis when their roster comes out, so stay tuned for that. For my pal Cam Robinson, I'm Chris Peters. This is Called Up the Prospects podcast. We'll catch you next time.